Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me today on the Pixi Dust Designs YouTube channel. Today we're making two cards with acetate that are not shaker cards. So there's lots of different ways you can use acetate, and we're going to show you two of them today. I'm going to start out with some of the pattern paper. This is the Puppy Love 6x6 pattern paper. These products are actually not available until April 29th, so if you're interested, go ahead and check back on the 29th, and these will be available. So I've gone ahead and I've grabbed two pieces of the pattern paper as well as a piece of acetate. I've already colored up my cute little dog from this Woof stamp set, and I'm going to go ahead and use the Woof sentiment. And the die set that I am using for this first card is called A Dog's Life, and again, this is part of the new release that will be released on the 29th of April. So it's got a lot of different accessories. One of them is this little treat jar, which has some bones that you can put in it. And I've cut out some of those bones, and I'm just adding a little bit of antique linen to those to make them not perfectly white, so they're a bit of a brown tint to them. And I'm gonna take my liquid adhesive and adhere a bunch of those bones in the jar. I actually don't end up using this in this first card today. Or I'm not going to use the treat jar, but I will use a bone for one of the other accessories that is in this set, which is this adorable little dog bowl. And I end up putting a little bone in this little insert that the die comes out, so you can insert a little bones into it. So I do end up putting a bone in there, and I bling this out. In several of the items, I wanted the dog things to be a little bit fancy, and so I did use some glitter paper in several of these, but all of these are super easy to put together. Everything coordinates really well. So for the dog bowl, you've got the inside of the dog bowl, a die that cuts that out, as well as that ring around, which I use glitter paper for. And then for the little paw print, I wanted there to be some bling behind that as well. So I just cut out a little piece of that same glitter paper, and I'm going to just adhere that right behind that paw. So super adorable. I can see making card with just all of the little accessories, not even the doghouse, just using the bones and the dog bowls and those little paw prints. I think that would be a really cute die cut background. So there's the little paw print. That is two pieces. You've got your solid piece and then your detail piece. And then this cute little dog collar. I'm going to go ahead and put this together. Again, really simple. I've blinged it out a little bit, and it's got this separate little die that has the kind of little tag that hangs off of that. And so once we've got all of our little accessories, we're just going to move on to the house. I actually did this a little wonky. There are two parts to the house roof. One is the trim piece. One is this piece right here that I am adhering. I actually should have put that red trim piece on first because I ended up a little bit crooked. So there is a die for kind of that rectangle with the dog cut, or the dog bone cut out, and then there is this trim piece, and those are both going to be adhered. I went ahead and I took the color inspiration or combinations from that pattern paper that I'm going to be using, the one with the hearts and the paws on it. I think it's a really pretty, the tan, the blue, and the red is a really pretty color combination. So we're going to go ahead and keep on putting the house together. And I decided to go ahead and grab a little heart from my stash and use a heart cut out for the door, and then put a little bit of glitter behind that. But we've got all the accessories together, so we're going to go ahead and create our card. And so I'm going ahead and I am doing a top fold 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I've scored that at 5 1/2, and it's going to fold at the top. And I'm just figuring out how much I want to cut off and replace with acetate. So I believe I cut about 3 inches, 2 1/2, 3 inches off of the front panel of that card. And that is going to be filled in with the acetate. So I did the top part of this the right way, and then the bottom, I don't know what happened, but it's easier so you don't see any of the glue, to go ahead and put your acetate right against that the top of the card, and then put your pattern paper on top so it's nice and clean that way, and you don't see any of the adhesive that is underneath the acetate. So I went ahead and adhered my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of acetate, and then I'm trimmed this pattern paper down to fit on the front of the card with a small white border, and then on the bottom I forgot to do that. I should have actually done the same process, but it ended up okay because I just put a piece of pattern paper on the inside, which you'll see here when I open the card up. And then I'm just going to start adding my different accessories. I honestly don't know if I'm super happy with the way that this turned out. I didn't want to hide too much of the peek through with the acetate, which is why I moved the house to the top, but I think it looks kind of funny, but I love the concept of it, so I didn't want to go ahead and just restart the whole thing. So I do love that peek through. I just think I might design it a little bit differently next time, but after adding all of my accessories, that's going to go ahead and complete the card. I love this pattern paper, super adorable. And that's going to be the first card. So that was a really easy acetate card. The second one is equally as easy, and this one I'm going to go ahead and use one of the other new products that is coming out on April 29th, and that is the shaker pup shaker dies. This comes with a dog bone, which is 3 pieces. So you've got your outline, your detail piece, and then your main solid piece. And the paw print is the same way. There are 3 dies. I'm going to just use the paw print on today's card, but I wanted to show you the different shaker mixes that Pixi Dust Designs has coming out. Some solid brown paw prints, and then we've got more of a rainbow paw print. And I'm going to go ahead and use that Puppy Love pattern paper again. So this is another really easy card to create. I've gone ahead and picked out my pattern paper. I've got a few pieces of solid paper and a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 acetate. And basically what I'm going to do is I am just going to cut some strips from all of the paper. So I'm going to cut multiple strips. I actually ended up cutting a little bit too many because I wasn't sure how many would fit across the front of that acetate. If you wanted to measure this all out, that is perfectly fine. I kind of just eyeballed it. I want to say these are probably about an 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch. I am really bad with measurements, and so I just went ahead and just cut those out just randomly pretty much, and then I'm going to dry fit everything to make sure that I like the layout. And so basically I'm just going to be setting these across, and I think this is called a floating card. It looks way better in person. I don't know if you get the full effect on the camera, but once I've got all of my strips picked out that I'm going to use, I'm going to be taking some 1/8 inch foam squares and applying those to all of those strips that we are going to place on the card. And then I put this piece of colored paper on the background just so I could more easily see the acetate. Since it's clear, it's really hard to see what you're working with against not a solid background. And I'm going to go ahead and use my T-ruler to make sure I get these fairly straight. And again, I'm just kind of eyeballing the distance between the strips, and I am using my mat for the most part to kind of move down one of those grid squares and line it up like that so I can get it as evenly as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and finish adding all of my strips, and then I will set that aside, and we're going to put together our little shaker paw. But we're, again, not making a shaker today, but this would be a super cute shaker to create. So I'm just going to add those 2 pieces, and then I decided to go ahead and add some foam squares to the back to add a little bit more dimension. And so that paw print is just going to go right over the top of that. And then I decided that I wanted the sentiment to be on this paw print, and it was a little hard to do that print with the foam already behind that. So I just went ahead and I cut that piece out and used some white embossing powder and heat embossed that sentiment onto the paw print. And then instead of taking all of the paper strips, backing strips off, I just went ahead and put glue on the top. And I'm using liquid glue just to make sure that I get my placement correct. It gives me a little bit more leeway as far as making sure that's straight. And so I'm just taking a white 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 a card panel, and I will go ahead and place my acetate piece on top of that, and then I will adhere. I use both double-sided adhesive and liquid adhesive for this, again, to make sure I get my placement right. And then to add some final touches, I'm going to go ahead and take a white paint pen and add a little bit of highlighting to that paw print, and that's going to finish off this card. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, I would love a thumbs up. Don't forget, this new release comes out on the 29th of April, but this week and in the coming weeks, the design team will have lots of project ideas, so I hope you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you don't miss out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun making these, and I'll catch you next time.